What's up, everyone? It's no secret that the world is complicated. And with complicated things, humans, what they tend to do is to try to organize these complicated things to understand them better. So if the world is complicated, then perhaps we can organize it into a system. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about this week. My name is Sir Ramon, and this is Science with Sir Ramon with the Earth System. Let's get right into it. So again, you were asked to observe the outside world for things and objects and interactions between these objects. Now, these interactions between these objects, you may remember, have something to do with the different spheres that make up the world. So these are some of the different spheres based on climate, but what we're focusing on are 4 spheres that are related to air, water, land, and life. So these 4 spheres maintain the balance of the world. So again, our topic for this week is the Earth system and the 4 spheres or the 4 subsystems of Earth. So this week, we're going to explain that Earth consists of 4 subsystems that have a flow of energy and matter between them. So we will also illustrate the structure of the Earth and recognize that Earth is unique because it's the only one with life. Let's do it. So Earth is our little planet. So what is here in this image? We can see the moon, of course. We see the Earth, which has the blue parts, the white parts, the green and the brown parts. And generally what we see in this image is water, air, and land. Apart from water, air, and land, what else can we see? If we go to the nighttime view of the Earth in the dark, what we can see here are the shining lights on the land. The shining lights on the continents that represent the light that is emitted by the major cities. And this light is a sign of life, specifically human life. So these 4 things, water, air, land, and life, these are the spheres that interact based on their materials and the processes that they have within the spheres. So the Earth system is us trying to organize the Earth into 4 categories, 4 spheres. So these 4 spheres are the water sphere, the hydrosphere, the geosphere, the atmosphere, and the biosphere. We're going to go through these one at a time. So first things first, which sphere covers most of the Earth's surface? It's the one that makes our planet very unique. At the very first glance, it's the hydrosphere. So if we take all of the waters in the world, that is the hydrosphere. And what do we mean by all the waters of the world? If we say combined mass of all the water found on Earth, we mean every single droplet of water, every snowflake, every ice cube, every glacier, every puff of cloud, everything that is made up of the molecule H2O. That is part of the hydrosphere. So why is water so important? Why does it have its own sphere? What makes water so special? It's because water is essential to all life. We have not seen one, not even a single thing, single organism that does not need water, especially in its liquid state. So it makes life possible. Even the most resistant to dehydration needs water eventually. And the biggest body of water in the hydrosphere is the one that we can see from space. Most of the water is found in the ocean. The ocean covers about 71% of the Earth's surface, but only about less than 20% of the ocean is mapped out. It's so huge, we humans haven't even seen most of it. And 97% of the hydrosphere is in the ocean. So the ocean being salt water, it's something that's not readily available for us humans and most animals to drink or to obtain water from. So where's the rest of this water? Where's the 3%? If the ocean is the 97%, the 3% is the fresh water. These are waters with low concentrations of dissolved solids, so less salts, less dissolved minerals. But only about 3% of all water is fresh water, and most of it is trapped in glaciers. So glacial melt mostly ends up in the ocean. So what this means is that the majority of fresh water in glaciers will eventually end up in the ocean. So it's also not readily available. What about the rest? Where can fresh water be found and be accessible? So fresh water can be found mostly here in these 4 types of biomes. Let's start with the lakes. These are standing or slow-moving bodies of water that are surrounded by land. Next, we have rivers. These are large flowing bodies of water. So your rivers can run either to lakes or to the ocean itself. Underneath the soil, underneath the ground, is the possibility of aquifers. These are rocky layers that can bear water like a sponge. That's why we have groundwater wells and water pumps. They draw water from aquifers. And finally, we have bogs, a special type of wetland similar to swamps and marshes. So bogs have fresh water and plant material called peat. So eventually, when bogs get covered with soil and are underground for millions of years, that's what turns into oil reservoirs. But as they are, bogs are an important source of fresh water. So these 4 biomes are sources of fresh water. Is there anywhere else that water can be found? So far, we have talked about solid ice in the form of glaciers and liquid water in the form of fresh water and ocean water. Where else can we find water? Of course, in water vapor, water in a gaseous state. As a gas, water vapor is a part of air, and air is related to the atmosphere, a completely different sphere. Now, we said that it's dynamic. Earth as a system is dynamic, meaning there are processes that happen that exchange materials between the different spheres. Now, we can see that in the hydrosphere through the hydrological cycle, also known as the water cycle. So let's go through this one by one. So water changes its state of matter, and that's what drives how water is taken through different spheres. So for example, we have evaporation. That's from liquid water to gas. Excuse me. So from liquid to gas, your evaporation turns your water from a hydrosphere component to something that can be considered part of the atmosphere. Now, condensation is the opposite physical change when your gas is turned into a liquid. So when your water reaches the upper atmosphere, when your water vapor reaches the upper atmosphere, it can condense into water droplets and into clouds. So again, evaporation and condensation. Freezing and melting is between ice and liquid water, and sublimation and deposition is between gases and solids. Sublimation is from solid to gas, while gas to solid is deposition. But generally, in the water cycle, we have evaporation and condensation. Next, we know that water can move. Being matter, it can move. So there are 3 main types of movement for water in the water cycle. We have precipitation, or when water falls to ground in the form of rain or snow, or other forms of precipitation like hail and sleet. Runoff is the movement on the surface of the earth. So rivers and streams are counted as surface runoff of water. And percolation is the term for when water passes through rock. So underground water, like in aquifers, can pass through rock to move from place to place through percolation. And next, we also have living things, the biosphere. Earlier, the percolation relates to how water moves through the geosphere. Now we have water moving through the biosphere. So transpiration, as detailed here, is the water that is excreted or given off by plants as part of their natural processes. Animals can also give off water through respiration. A byproduct of our respiration process or our energy release process is water. So again, living things can secrete water. So put them all together, we have a cycle. When water evaporates, it can condense into clouds and precipitate into other forms of water reservoirs like glaciers and rivers. Transpiration also gives off water vapor, and once these waters are collected into reservoirs, they can go through movement forms such as runoff in rivers, percolation through the geosphere, and the third one, which I forget, so let's go back, it's precipitation. Sorry, we already mentioned precipitation. Oops. So again, all these different functions and forms of processes, these exchange water as a material through the different spheres, not just the hydrosphere. So we will continue with discussing the spheres in the next video. So just think about the hydrological cycle. Think of these different processes that take water through the different spheres, because next time we will discuss these different spheres. See you guys in the next video.